Today we are like talking about 80s effects pedals.
What are we talking about?
80s effects pedals.
Oh, okay.
Look at that graphic.
Oh my gosh.
That's beautiful.
Give this guy a raise. Beautiful. Okay, folks, so this is not going to be a, like lesson on history, dates, all of that. Just we're here to explore some of like the sounds that you heard on all of the like 80s gear, all of the 80s tunes, 80s albums, etc.
This one's pure fun.
Yeah, this one's pure fun. I think, so if you were here in the 60s, right, we like talked about the start of all of these effects with like a fuzz pedal, etc. By the 70s, they're kind of starting to like build. By the 80s, almost every effect could be found in a like stomp box sized item. So it's almost the like heyday of like effects, and I think you start to hear that on all of these tunes. Yeah, look, we got like a brand like EHX, okay, Electro Harmonics. We have a brand like Boss, which we have here a lot, who had a big explosion in the 80s. And just we're here to kind of like play through all of their iconic 80s tones.
These are some of my favorite pedals. I don't know about you.
Well,
this one will be fun for me.
Okay, sweet. I will have no fun.
No fun.
Perfect.
What are you playing today?
Okay, so I am playing, this is a 1954 like Les Paul special. This is the Candy Apple Red. This is their aged. It's aged, if we can get up close, I mean, obviously it's like hard to see, aged in a lovely way. Also, the back is pretty cool. It has this special like emblem on the like tech port here.
It's like a medallion.
Yeah, it's cool. It's metal.
Pretty cool.
I will say this thing feels so good. Like the neck is still pretty big because it's, early, but it's like lightweight. It sounds great. Also, if you're not into the age thing, which like some of you are not, even if you should be, we have them in just like plain, like shiny red paint. Yeah, it's awesome stuff. Dan.
Beautiful guitar.
Yeah.
I'm playing a PRS Custom 24, and the finish is Elephant Gray. I don't know if you can see this right here. The figuring on it's just amazing. Black back, the neck's black on the back.
So is that like a small neck? Is that like a big, like chunky one like mine?
It feels pretty standard to me.
Okay, cool.
Kind of middle of the road. I think think most players would appreciate it. But it plays very nice. Obviously, one of the best guitars you can possibly buy.
Money can buy.
Why did we include PRS today?
Well, what do we have an actual date?
We have a date that he started selling in '84. Yep.
1984. Paul Reed Smith started selling guitars in 1984.
Well, and it should be said though, that is when he started selling as a like name brand. He, up until then in the late like 70s, early 80s, was just selling out of his house, out of his car, etc. But like that is the start date of like PRS as we know it now.
But it wasn't.
Why?
Because it's top secret.
Why?
But he used to work here.
Oh, he did.
He worked in our repair shop. So he probably learned a lot as far as like, the way to make these
owes
guitars
us
so
everything.
perfectly.
All right.
You're welcome.
Let's tell Paul that. Yeah. Now, I would also just like to touch on, I'm playing through a like boogie, let me see, like
California.
Yeah, California
Tweed. It's
There we
beautiful, by the way.
Yeah,
Striking.
it's like nice and small, white, like Toltecs, this cool like white and tan grill thing. Small. I don't think this was out in the 80s, but that like brand was out, and they were kind of like starting like to be big.
It's a killer amp.
It is.
And like
It's
the
so
finish
small.
on it is so amazing.
Yeah.
If you see it in person, you'd definitely want to own one. I'm playing out of
What are
a
you playing
box
through?
AC30, just a standard
A
AC30.
classic through every era,
I don't know
let's
if you
just
guys can see
say.
that, But I'll just be playing it clean, not a lot of grit on there, so we can hear some of these pedals. But
Okay.
should we get
Who
started?
would
You
like
want to go
start?
ahead?
Yeah, all right. I'm going to start through. So we can do top down here. I'm going through a Boss like BF2. Sorry, a like BF3, but the 2 was out in the 80s. And like EHX had the Memory Man, like the big boy, out in the 80s.
That thing was like a pedal board unto itself.
Yeah,
too.
it was probably like the size of
Yeah.
like this whole table.
That thing was
I could
huge.
like sleep on that thing. But, and it also, I think it plugged straight into like the wall, right?
It did.
Yeah, it was old school.
It did.
Okay, a flanger, so it's interesting actually. If you see our whole desk, a lot of these like effects are kind of different like flavors of the same thing, which is just taking your signal, delaying it a bit, and then having a like a control over how the second one moves and sounds. So a flanger, as I think Dan said, it sounds great with everything at noon. Let's go.
That's pure nostalgia right there. The definitely like I heard, you know, I've heard thousands of 80s and 70s songs that have just that exact sound. The flanger was really big in the 80s.
It was?
It was almost on every album that you could hear.
Yeah.
I think like modulation wise, like 80s was the decade for modulation.
Yeah.
Modulation was like your flangers, your chorus pedals, vibrato pedals. But man, you like just the sounds, like you said it earlier, but I feel like the 80s was, you know, drenched in water of some kind.
Ooh.
And it might be
Yeah.
maybe I think it was drowning in modulation, reverb,
Yeah.
and delay.
Well, and I think what's interesting too, I think if you see the like updated versions of all of these pedals, they will oftentimes have a like knob for mix or blend. At the time, they didn't really have those things, so it was either on or off. And yes, right, there's things like depth and stuff, but I think that kind of caused what you're like talking about, where like everything was very effect in your face, but it sounds great, right? Oh, that's actually a chorus.
Beautiful. The thing about it is like a flanger is pretty versatile in the
Yeah.
fact that you can get like a metallic-y kind of sound to it if you tweak the settings a little bit, and then you can
I
get
like
the real
pushing these up a
smooth
little
like
bit.
a real smooth like flowing sound as well.
Yeah, I like to kind of like push the controls a bit.
Gotta love flanger.
It can't sound bad. That's the thing with, I think, these two brands, like in particular, but Boss especially just has like my heart, because they almost can't sound bad. I know that like Dan said that there is a way, but I have not really found it yet. I think you can't sound bad on these things. They've just like made them like the perfect range to be solid and sturdy, but also like sound good with your knobs literally anywhere, which is cool.
Random.
Cool.
Great.
Let's do you.
So the first one in my chain is the Boss Overdrive. This is an OD3. This is a remake of a really popular pedal. Boss Overdrives have shaped the sounds of numerous rock bands. You want a little bit of grit, not too much. You want to preserve your tone and have it come through. This is the pedal. Let me turn this off here. We'll give it a little bit of drive. grit. You can get it almost to a distortion, or you can turn that down, back it off a little bit. It's a rocky sound.
It is.
I think
Definitely is.
gain staging kind of became popular in the 80s, and this was a popular pedal to gain stage with. You would go into a distortion, so you'd start here, and when you hit the chorus and you want to really rock out, then you have both pedals going at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You want to hit your...
Yeah, I'm going to go over here, if we just hop over to, like, my desk. Let's go with, like, okay, the Memory Man. This is obviously the new one, okay? It's, like, nice and small. I think this is their Nano series.
Yeah, and I love the small format. It
Same.
saves so much space.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just, like, play it. I mean, all of you guys know what, like, this is. Okay, so I'm going to actually start. Let's, like, maybe start with a little bit of, like, slap-esque. All right? Because I do think that's still a big thing in this era. That's still pretty old school, but, I mean, if you are a, like, rock player, a big solo.
I feel like bands like the Cars, they probably had that sound.
Yeah. Okay, but I think what's like so fun about these is that they had kind of like modulation inside of them. Even on the like old ones, right? There was those knobs. Mm-hmm. So if we start to play around with this rate and depth here, and we turn up the time so that you can hear it a bit more. To add motion and, like Dan said earlier, a feeling of like wateriness and all of that stuff to any of your like effected sound. And I mean, these things, they sit in the mix so well. That's why they're still big all of this time later. They sound excellent in almost any setting, in almost any type of band, and they're pretty easy. If you guys are into like effects, you know that there are some pedals that you have to study to like even understand how to like turn on. And this stuff, I personally love the like simplicity of all of these big 80s effects. It's great for that.
That is a simple pedal, but like you can get you can go crazy with that pedal. It'll like self oscillate. It'll do like all kinds of like modern things, and I guess noise rock kind of applications. Like definitely a great pedal for almost any genre.
And we did like touch on this earlier just in our like chat, but if you play around with the order that you have these in, right? If you put something like this earlier than a like overdrive, if you put your like verb earlier, if you kind of tweak what is expected, you can get these massive like soundscapes, which did kind of like make the 80s sound how it did. It was the era of excess in every way, I think.
I agree. Definitely like thick, lush sounds, and movement. Definitely like a lot of movement in that pedal. The Ross here. This is a Ross chorus. This is a remake. It came out this week, I believe, earlier this week.
Ooh, new guy.
This is a new pedal, but it's a remake of an old. I think it was released originally in 1974. It was released by Bud Ross, and he started a company called Ross. He was actually the person that made custom amps back here.
Which we have
he
in
owned
the room.
Custom amps.
With a K.
Custom with the K. That's right.
The like tuck and roll.
There's a rumor
iconic.
that he lost the company in a card game. I'll go ahead and throw it out. I read this online. I thought it was interesting. So Custom is a iconic amp with the tuck and roll, but then you get into like pedals like this, and these really saw the light of day. I think in the 80s, these circuits are similar to the Boss circuits, but just a little bit different take on it, and the enclosures on these things are just so cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know. There probably isn't many enclosures that are that cool.
Agreed.
So this is a chorus pedal. It's modulation. It's similar to a flanger. There's just a little bit different of a circuit.
Oh.
There's a rate and a depth. I love the simplicity of that. There's also a switch on the side of this one that converts it to a vibrato.
Which I did not know that. That's cool. Surprise.
It is, and there's actually instructions on the back. I don't know.
That's
if you guys
very,
can...
very sweet.
I'm not going to read them to you.
Okay.
It's a surprise. I don't want to spoil anything. Anyway,
He's
so
being, nice to you.
well, this pedal in particular is, like I said, a take on a circuit, and that vibrato button. I think it just turns off one resistor in the circuit.
Okay, but well,
and we swore we weren't going to get eggheady here.
I know. Like that means it's just going to take out your clean signal, right? Is that what vibrato is? It takes out one of the.
It just gradually changes the pitch based on the settings that you have on the depth and the rate.
Cool.
So it'll fluctuate the pitch of what you're playing. And I think the best way to show everybody, what the chorus and vibrato sounds like is just play a little bit. So I have everything at noon here. Little secret about pedals. Noon is a great place to start usually.
Point.
So. There's a lot of movement there. It almost sounds like a delay. It's slightly delayed. Well, let me turn my reverb off. So you turn your rate up, and you can get a little bit of a different sound. Usually you turn your depth down a little bit, and you can get some really crazy sounds there. Let's hit the button and hear what the vibrato sounds like. I'm going to turn the depth up, the rate down.
Ooh, all right.
All right.
Dan has no fear.
And sometimes you want to back it off a little bit. This gives you a nice Mac DeMarco kind of vibe. Definitely. This was used in the 80s a lot, as well as chorus. You'd probably hear chorus more than vibrato, but vibrato was pretty popular with bands like New Order and
Cool.
Joy Division, stuff like that. But you'll definitely get a little bit of detuning. So it sounds good. One piece of advice for those of you who want to delve into the world of vibrato.
I do.
Don't have two guitar players playing vibrato at the same time. You'll be out of tune. All right. So that's the chorus. Do you want to do the? Oh, you switched it out. Okay.
I switched out some of mine because we have a bunch to show. If you ever would like to change yours out, that would be cool too. I'll just do a quick hit on this CE2. So the CE2, the old one, was out in the 80s. I know the CE1, which is a big boy, was out in the 70s. But again, you've heard this stuff on everything. Almost every song that didn't have heavy overdrive, or even songs that did have that, had a tiny bit of this everywhere. It's just so soupy, lush. All right, let's go. Nope.
I can't wait to hear the difference between the Ross and the Boss.
Yeah. All right, let's get. Wait, I turned off my amp too. Sorry, y'all. Okay. All right, just give that a second. Again, though, let's start at noon. I will say I tend to do pedals, if you can see my hands, like this. Either way, you just cannot sound bad. Okay. This is on. Let's experiment, right? We're here to have some fun. Let's go up on the rate a bit, down on the depth. Let's go even further with this kind of soupy. That's still pretty tame. It's nice though.
That's a good word for it, soupy.
Soupy.
Definitely soupy.
A fun fact: soup is is my favorite food on earth. So like this is a perfect fit.
Question.
Sure.
Is cereal
No.
Okay. I'm not even engaging.
is cereal soup? Rhetorical question.
I need a lifetime to think that through.
Yes, you do.
Okay, let's go the opposite way, all right? Let's go low rate, high depth. It's going to be really like seasick, right? Maybe even it's not that bad on this like standard setting. But look, if we switch to the CE1, which is the old school, it's going to be more intense.
This is the Wazacraft one?
Yes, it is the like Wazacraft. These are the new ones. They have a bunch of extra features. They have like a bunch of extra cost.
But they
they're great.
They took popular mods and threw them in.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
a great idea.
It's cool. There we go.
What does it sound like at noon?
Let's go home, right? That's always
Yeah.
a good starting point. I think again, if you play any of the like new effects that kind of sound like this but have been made in the last 5 years, like 10 years, they all will typically have a knob so that like I can play this real soupy sound but then blend in a bit more of my plain signal. And it's just kind of interesting that even though these effects now have a competitor, they still influence how all other like pedals like this sound, which is cool. Boom.
That's a great pedal.
Yeah.
So I have over here, this actually is not for sale. This is from my
This is
my
Dan's
collection.
personal Dan's personal pedal here. Love it.
This is a Boss RV2. It's a digital reverb from the 80s. I think it had it came out in like 84 or close to that. But this is one of the first digital reverbs that came out where I think it was 12-bit, and if you know anything about some of these reverbs, nowadays they're like 64-bit and up.
Yeah.
They're pretty high resolution. This is a pretty lo-fi version, but the cool thing about this is it has a popular style of reverb that was really popular in the 80s called gated reverb.
Okay.
This does it a little bit differently because of the low bit rate on it. So it's got a little bit of I'd say like static at the end of the reverb tail, which a lot of reverbs don't have nowadays. But let's hear it.
Yeah, can you show us?
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna.
Well, and I'm so sorry to stop you. This was also the first of its kind out in the industry. It was the first digital verb floor pedal.
Wow.
Ever.
I
think it was out
that.
80, 82, 84, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Learned something new today. All right. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put it at 12. I'll leave the level where it is.
Cool.
I have it set on the gated setting, which is all the way to the right. If you turn this knob, I don't know if
it's also
you can see
iconic of the 80s too. These effects shaped songs and they shaped artists, and that's pretty powerful. I love that.
It was just, this is an inspirational pedal anyway.
Yeah.
You can always get a good sound no matter what style of music you're playing. Even if you just turn it down a little bit, it comes through and you can definitely hear a little something. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what the gate does on the reverb, just to show you how that acts when you play. Do you hear that? There's definitely a little tail and then it ends. So the gate basically chops off the end of the tail so it doesn't get all muddy and it doesn't muddy up the mix. So if you want an 80s sound, definitely playing choppy, palm muted stuff on this thing, that's where it really shines. So you could go
Yeah.
when you hit a chord, it sounds pretty cool. And you can kind of go into that next chord without too much mud, but it just sustains you a little bit. There's also a cool hall setting on this thing.
Yeah.
I'll turn that on.
Yeah, put it up.
Right. And it's still gated. You can hear that. But in my opinion, the two best settings on here are all the way to the left and all the way to the right. And you could probably find good sounds on the other one. But
who needs more than two?
I love the engineers at Boss because it's easy to hit that good, those good settings that, you might want to use the most.
Yeah.
So all the way to the left or all the way to the right.
Can you play something big for me, big and spacey? Let's see how big this gets.
Like chords or what are you thinking?
I don't know,
Okay.
your choice. Yeah,
All
chords.
Right. I'll do some picking first and then I'll do some chords. You can get a little slap back. It's almost like a delay.
Excuse me. Oh my god. Honestly, almost all of these effects are some kind of delay. It's just how they show themselves, which is fun. Nice.
One thing about modulation we could talk about is and this kind of shaped itself in the 80s, but this rate and depth setting, it's on almost every single modulation
pedal.
There are some where it's just single settings, but
yeah.
For the most part, you could dial in how fast the signal would modulate, and then the depth of it, so it would blend in your signal with it. So you could either have it going crazy or just a tiny bit of influence on the way it sounds. But super cool pedal from the 80s, pedal from the 70s. Should we talk about the DD3?
Yeah, here, let me hit this octave.
Okay.
If you want to swap.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna play
I'm not
here.
sure if it works, but we'll see.
I would shut off your amp real quick and then just unplug. And we did test it and it's all set to go. Okay, so I'm gonna be over here on this OC5 now. Okay, in the 80s, the first Boss octave pedal, the OC2. Actually, it's the second, but anyway, they're OC2, which is the small, this exact shape pedal was out. This one is the newest one. It has a bit more available in it, but we'll play through it. Octave can be a lot of fun to either, well, I guess it depends on if you're adding octave on top or octave under it, but it can be a fun way to thicken up anything or to kind of push something through a mix. Let's just play a little bit. Yeah, please.
It sounds really great before a fuzz, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just pushes it.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I know.
Sounds like a bass.
That's a lot of fun, and you can really I know people that play with this. Look at my whole hand on top of this little paw. Okay. I know people that play with these pedals where they will set it to a range where it'll only put an octave on either the low strings, it'll only put octaves on the high strings, and it's a cool way to really hone in and make a very unique sound that other people kind of can't just get on their own. But I think these things can be fun to play with.
Let's hear the octave up setting.
Yeah. Should I turn everything else down?
I don't know.
Or is that where?
Surprises.
Ooh, so look, I'm in the vintage mode. And actually, you can hear it is starting to overdrive a bit. The old school ones, Again, they were probably like, what'd you say, like 16-bit or something?
12 or
12-bit.
16,
I don't know numbers. They just always kind of had that upper end like overdrive where if you like pushed it hard, it would start to get a little bit like crispy. That's like overdrive. I'm playing sparkling clean amp, you know? But like, what if we put in some of the lower octave? Okay, now we're getting weird because we're in like the vintage. I think like the vintage might be monophonic. I think that's probably true. I think if we go to poly, it'll sound a bit different. But I mean, these things are a lot of fun to like play with. I actually play with like a girl that plays an electric mandolin, and she puts hers through an OC3 and can get just like psychedelic, and it's so fun. These things are great. Let's like turn this down. All right, like we're in poly mode. Let's go with like a bit of slap. Yeah, man, let's do it. Just a lot of fun, and I think these pedals saw, or I'm sorry, this like style of like effect saw a big boost again with like the Pog in the like 2000s and stuff. But these like Boss ones, the OC2 up through the OC5, I own an OC3. They're just always like a lot of fun.
And like I think they based like the whammy pedals sort of on that circuit. Yeah, like
that makes sense.
But
all right,
it's really cool pedal. And like personally, like I haven't had much luck with them, but like there's some people that play those things.
Do cool things.
It sounds amazing. Yeah. Should we try out the DD3?
Yeah.
All right.
Go for it. And then we'll do like a jam, and then we'll be out.
All right.
Okay, this is another of the first of its kind. It was the first like digital delay to be available in a like portable floor item. You know, it didn't have to be in a like rack, it didn't have to be in a studio. So again, like Boss led the way for so long. I still think that they do. They started in the 70s, but man, I think the 80s was when everybody kind of like hopped on the train.
That little slap.
Yeah.
Kind of like definitely a shorter delay than.
So it has 4 modes. Instead of having the like time knob sweep the entire option or like entire range, you have to pick the exact time like ranges. So they're short, like medium, long, extra long. You
can definitely hear some of that 80s like,
I'm hearing
vibe
like the Clash in there. Like there's some cool stuff in there.
I'm gonna go ahead and just go crazy with it.
Dan's favorite thing to do.
Nice. So this pedal, thank you, Steve Spack, our Roland rep, for donating this to our studio.
Stevie boy.
Yeah. But this pedal is really popular with keyboard players. It's popular with guitar players. Like if you run like a Juno through this, like it sounds so lush and amazing. So definitely check out this pedal. I don't think like this iteration of the pedal is still available. I could be wrong.
The DD3, I think they're up to the 5 on almost everything now. So.
Well, check it out and get the DD3 if you can. This is the classic pedal. It's all over the place on every recording. The RV2 definitely, if you can find them, that you can still get them cheap.
You can.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, what's so like interesting is in the like 2000s again with the boom of like kind of like boutique brands, I feel like you could find stuff by Boss for super cheap. And then everybody at some point was like, wait, they still sound amazing. And so now a like RV6 used is on par with any of the expensive stuff. And I mean, they're solid. They're like built like tanks and they always sound good.
They're like, usually you can always get a Boss pedal. Some of the old ones that aren't popular any longer, grab them. They're always great to have.
Do it. I will say too, in the 80s, they had like the DD2, which is like the first one of this size. And then inside of that same, I think it was like 5 years, they had the like DD3. So it was obvious that people liked it almost as soon as it was out. And just they were like innovating pretty soon.
I've seen people stack these too, and you can just like, you can get like almost like a comb filter effect. It's really cool. But yeah, super cool pedal, super lo-fi, and like it'll definitely give you the 80s sound if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it, y'all. Like, thanks for spending some time with us. We have a new shirt out. It's the 80s month here. I think this one might be my favorite. That's available for how long?
Well, let's talk about this.
Oh my gosh,
here.
Look at this handsome gentleman, by the way.
If you've contacted our customer service department, you probably spoke with this gentleman. His name is Jonathan Perilla. He is sporting our brand new Chuck Levin's 1980s t-shirt. He's available for modeling on the side if you need a model.
And those shirts will be out for another maybe 2 weeks or something. Yep. As we head into September with the 90s. Also, there is one more of our TGIF shows that is a part of the city here, down at what's the name of the plaza in downtown Wheaton. Oh, look at this lovely infographic that explains everything that you need. Tonight is Latin night, and they have Soul y Rumba playing. I think this is the second to last show, so if you haven't been able to come out, do it. It's not hot.
The weather
is a nice
great.
Day today. Come
Perfect
spend some time with us.
Music.
Okay. I think that's everything. Yeah, just have some fun with some pedals, guys. That's it.
Should we make some noise?
Yeah.
On the way out?
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe be.
Okay. That's always the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm dying.